Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to our second Global PropTech Online keynote presentation of the day. If you didn't get a chance to see the first one, Paul from KPMG, we will be recording each of these sessions and putting them up on our YouTube channel for on-demand viewing afterwards. Also, please note that if you have any technical issues or need some help, on your left-hand side in the Sessions tab, go there and you can go to the help desk and someone there will help you and walk you through to resolve your problems. And then if you have any questions for our next speaker or conversation during the presentation, on your right-hand side is the chat. Please write any questions in there, introduce yourself, say hello. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to our second speaker of the day, Robbert Heekelaar, who's the Vice President of Architecture and Technology at Prologis. Robbert, take it away.
Hi, thanks, Derek. Let me first do the most difficult part, and that is sharing my screen. There it is. All right. So welcome, all that listening. Robbert Heekelaar, working at Prologis. Very short about Prologis, the largest real estate provider, so real estate asset provider in the world. We have in about 4,700 buildings, in about 140 billion asset under management currently, working in about 1,700 people within Prologis. And over 1 million people actually are working in the warehouses that we rent out to our tenants. So what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to shortly discuss a little bit about the rise of global e-commerce and the COVID acceleration, then warehouses and the changing requirements, and then the warehouses and the supply chain optimization. You'll see that I will call out a lot of trends throughout my presentation. So let's start first. You saw already some pictures. This one is an interesting one. 90% of our customers' operations remained open at the peak of the outbreak. So COVID was for us not a big issue. There are other challenges in the sector, obviously, and there are some trends picking up these challenges, and that is what I want to talk to you about. So let me first go to the first sector section of the presentation. That's the rise of the global e-commerce and the recent COVID-19 acceleration. Just wanted to show you this picture. It has been a crazy year in all senses, right? For everybody, suddenly working from home. I bet that you all have never ordered so much online than you did before. And I bet that your parents, grandparents, all these people suddenly have started to order online as well. And that is what we have seen. You heard about, for example, PostNL, that I believe it was not last week, they said, we're at our max. We cannot deliver any packages anymore. So they're just record-breaking numbers. Everybody's ordering online. That gives a lot of pressure on the real estate as well. They need to optimize their space utilization. And they need to deliver as fast as possible. And if you see the trend in this picture, it's going up. We kind of believe that 2021 will be a little bit less pressure because of the fact that there will be some negative impact coming because of COVID, right? When the governments will stop subsidizing some businesses currently that they're currently doing, then probably we have a little bit of economic decline, but maybe not. We have to see, but the trend is going upwards. So what is a trend within the warehouses, so within the real estate? And I've showed this picture before in a previous presentation, but I still wanted to show this one again because it gives you a good insight in how the sector has been evolving. So we'll start first at gateway distribution. think of the fact, a lot of things are ordered in China. They come in at the big harbors. We have Le Havre here as an example. That's what we call gateway distribution. Then the goods will go to what we have here in Tilburg, multi-market distribution. That means that there are the biggest warehouses, a lot of storage going on, and from there they're going to ship it out to city distribution. And city distribution is a little bit smaller warehouse than the real big ones, and they actually make sure that in the city, for example, of Cologne and around, they can quite easily deliver within 1 or 2 days. And then the last one actually came up a few years ago, or actually in about 2 years ago. That is the last touch distribution. You all have seen and you all have noticed that it's difficult to get all these packages delivered to the right at the right time to the right people. Last touch distribution is the big warehouse companies actually buying assets in the city center of very big cities. So London and Paris are a really good example. Amsterdam is even probably not big enough, but London and Paris, they're buying lots in somewhere in the city center, all buildings, and they're repurposing that building in order to make sure that it's they're even closer to the customer than they have been before. So same day shipping and building level characteristics are secondary to location consideration. So that kind of says, I don't care what purpose the building has. I'm going to repurpose it, and I'm going to make sure that I can deliver to my customers ASAP. Of course, the prices are higher, and there are other challenges also from an ESG perspective. But this is what the trend is. Last touch is going to be extremely important. So that is about the real estate itself, so the assets itself. Let's go to the warehouse optimization and changing requirements, because there are so many things happening, and I don't know whether you have been listening to the KPMG presentation of Paul in about 30 minutes ago, but Paul was also talking about it. Paul actually called out 3 kind of trends that will happen in 2021, and that is IoT, connected network, and data analytics. And I seriously totally agree with him. But let's go through my presentation. The modern building specs. So the buildings are changing a lot. Think of the fact that in about 10 years ago, a warehouse was a place to store things. That's it. You store things. Some things were ordered. You pick mainly by hand. You pick by hand, you send it out, you deliver, and done. There was no return goods stream present. There was no last finishing touch on products in the warehouses, or at least there was less. And now it's more and more. What a modern building spec needs is efficient flow of goods. That is what our customers want. Tech definitely should increase productivity in the warehouses. We've also seen that during the COVID, obviously, that it's not always the best to have a lot of people working in your warehouse because of if things like COVID happened and suddenly you have to do social distancing, suddenly a lot of people get sick. So automation is extremely important in these warehouses to get the flow keep on going. And obviously, still there are a lot of people working in the warehouses, so labor-friendly and wellness features are extremely important as well. So if we go to the requirements of a modern warehouse. So here you have a drawing. It's the modern drawing. No, it's a drawing of a warehouse. And this is what an average warehouse needs to have these days. And a lot of these warehouses that are currently existing don't have it. So there's a lot of repurposing and there's a lot of redoing, refurbishing done in these warehouses. But let's start. There are a lot of autonomous mobile robots needed in the warehouse. There are a lot of automated guided vehicles running through the warehouse. Actually, there are a lot more, and let me say more and more. It's a trend that is totally upcoming. The customers are still figuring out what's the most optimal way and what's the best. Sometimes you better can actually deploy human beings instead of robots or AGVs, but in many cases not. So they're still finding the balance in that. Robotic picking arms are more and more coming up. Extremely cool to see. Automatic storage and retrieval systems. This one is popping up everywhere currently. Very small racks with automated storage and automatic picking. From the warehouse perspective, then suddenly you need to have stronger roofs because some of the items that are put in the warehouse need to be hung on the roof. And on the other side, there are more and more roofs utilized for solar panels. So the roofs need to be very strong. Because of these automated storage and retrieval systems, they can go up high as they want. So the clear height is increasing big time. Last year from 10 meters to 11 meters to 12 meters, and they're going up. So the warehouses will probably be higher. Also from the perspective that the ground, especially in countries like, for example, the Netherlands, is expensive. So the higher you can go, the better you utilize your warehouse. Floor quality, extremely important. If you go higher, then there is more pressure on the floor. So these are things that you definitely should not forget when building a warehouse. And more dock doors. Our customers want to have as much dock doors as possible to increase warehouse optimization big time. Every meter, every centimeter in a warehouse has to be utilized. There is not enough space out there. We have an average occupancy of in about 96%, and that is our top. You always need to have a few percent where you can actually switch customers. Sometimes you have you need a month or 2 months to actually do some work in a warehouse, and that gives us that 4%. But yeah, most of the warehouses are just full. Then other features, which is, for me, the most important: increased power capacity, internet connectivity, and labor-friendly amenities. So what do these warehouses, what does automated storage, what do robots, what do ATVs, what do they all need? They need power, and they need data. So meaning that they are connected to whatever, Wi-Fi, private LTE, in the future 5G. So they're in some shape or form connected. They're in some shape or form delivering information that the customer wants to do something with, and they all need to have power. And think of in the short future when we're actually moving into electric vehicles like the Tesla trucks. Even more power is needed. So it is a trend, increasing power requirements in the warehouses, and it's also going to be a challenge because currently it's not always possible to give the customers the power that they actually need. Not because of us, but because of our surroundings. It's not from a local community perspective or governmental perspective. It's sometimes difficult to get the right power requirements in a warehouse. But that's it. Think of power and data as from a landlord perspective. We believe that we can help our customers with that. And that's what we're doing in warehouses currently. We are currently in the new warehouses that we're building, putting in a power and data infrastructure because of the fact that our customers, most of the times they're in a hurry. They want to have storage space and they want to have it now. If we build a warehouse for them, we have been brainstorming on how we can actually limit the time to go to operations for these customers. And how we're doing that is that we are delivering a big part of what they normally have to put in when they get their key. So when they get normally the key from the warehouse, they have to put in all the cabling, all the internet infrastructure, the Wi-Fi, whatever they want to have as a standard spec. We as Prologis have decided that we at least put in the fiber lines in the warehouse so that the wiring and the power is already there. And if the customer wants that, we can actually put in a whole IT infrastructure according to their requirements before finishing the build. That means that if a customer wants to go in fast, they can do that. If the customer says, okay, I want to go in at that date and the Wi-Fi needs to be delivered, we can do it. So that means that the customer is, the go-to operations will be shortened with at least a month or even more. Then on the other side, there is a lot of data requested from out of the warehouse. That is the IoT thing. That has been solved by us as well. We have a whole IoT infrastructure that we put in the warehouse. We have a very sophisticated IoT backend where we can draw all kinds of conclusions for our customers, and we provide our customers with all the data they need. Whether that is in a dashboard or whether that is in streaming data, that is up to them. A lot of our customers are so sophisticated that they'd like to have streaming data because they do not need another dashboard, which makes totally sense. And this backend infrastructure that we've put in enables us to help our customers with providing a lot of future-proof solutions, like we can provide them smart lighting, asset tracking, location services. We can help them with voice picking, yard management, all kinds of AR solutions. We can plug in 5G, private LTE Wi-Fi, and that is all without stopping the operations in order to make sure that our customer is can do their work concurrently. So that's a trend, helping our customers in automating the warehouse, making sure that we upgrade the warehouse specifications in order to make our customers go to operations faster. Another trend, and this is what Paul said as well, ESG is here to stay, which is totally true, and I cannot agree more with that. And we as Prologis, we are in the top, I believe it's now top 10 of most sustainable companies in the world, and we do a lot around this. We actually have achieved carbon neutrality in our primary operations since 2019. Which is a thing that we're pretty proud of. We have funds as Prologis, where we have big investors investing in. We actually deliver now green bonds to investors, and we can deliver employee well-being certified warehouses, meaning that we're gonna put in everything that is needed to get that certification, and that means that there's a lot of green, there's a lot of natural light, and we concurrently monitor, for example, all kinds of air quality in the warehouse to make sure that for the people that are working in the warehouses are a good place to live, which is very much appreciated, and which is something our customers are asking more and more for. So this is it's a huge trend. ESG will not go away, especially not knowing that in 2021 we'll have a new U.S. president, and that U.S. president already, I haven't heard him say it, but it has been said that he's will be joining the Paris Agreement again. So then suddenly from a U.S. perspective, ESG will get a huge push as well. So I believe in 2021, this is going to be fast. This is going to happen. So then a little bit on the supply chain optimization and the role of the warehouse, because the warehouse always has been this this not desired part of the supply chain, right? Normally it is, okay, we have to deliver the goods from factory to end consumer, and it has to be just in time so that we don't need any place to store, or at least we need the least amount of storage, because storage will cost money. The longer the product is in the supply chain, the more money it will cost. It kind of has changed a little bit because of the fact that also because of COVID, where we see the trend shifting a little bit from the just-in-time delivery to the just-in-case delivery, knowing that, okay, suddenly China can go in lockdown. Suddenly, we won't get the goods. So we have to make sure that we stack our warehouses with goods so that we can actually tackle a few months before China or other regions will reopen again. Also, we need places where we can actually produce things ourselves. So production is also coming back to Europe. And then from a data perspective, this is what I call the warehouse journey. I can't tell you where our average customer is. It totally depends per customer. But the warehouse journey is the warehouse has been going from a place to store to a solid data provider, the building management systems. They deliver a lot of interesting data already, to a proactive part of the supply chain. The trucks are more connected to the warehouse. The truck knows to which dock to go. The people in the warehouse know exactly when to expect that truck, so that they can easily load and unload, and the truck can go on its way as fast as possible. To the last part, a source for predictive decision making. A warehouse delivers so many data points, and you can do so many interesting things that I believe it's going to be, probably not in 2021, but very short after, it's going to be a source for predictive decision making. An example of one of the warehouses that I've deployed, a smart warehouse. It's a warehouse in about 30,000 square meter. We're extracting in about more than 700,000 data points per day. So it can definitely deliver a lot of interesting information. So what about IoT, AI, ML, blockchain? I think IoT I've mentioned. IoT is there, and IoT is there to stay. I believe that when IoT is totally understood, people know how to extract the data, then we finally can roll into the into the AI, into ML, and in the longer run, probably also into the blockchain. Especially blockchain is far away for real estate, in my humble opinion, because of the fact that blockchain needs to have different real estate partners collaborate, and that is always a tricky part. AI and ML, if you have data, then you start to you have to be able to build models, and then you have to apply AI and ML, and then you can start to draw very interesting strategic conclusions. If you see this graph, then IoT will be there in 2021. Big data, definitely in 2021. Augmented reality, oh yes. Electric vehicles is coming more and more. And then we go into the future with, for example, drones, which is the technical perspective of drones is totally fine. Drones can work. There are some challenges though. For example, very simple ones, the battery lifetime. But also rules and regulations around drone delivery. It's going to be difficult. Same with autonomous trucks. So that's why I've put these a little bit more on the long run. So I have a few minutes to go. So what is it in logistics, real estate, and supply chain in 2021 and further? Location, extremely important. Last mile delivery is going to be definitely the key, as it was been for the last years. Buildings need to be future-proofed. The buildings that you build now have to be utilized, have to be future-proof for the next 10 to 15 years. So we have to make sure that we put in the right things in the building in order to make it desired for the customers in the long run. And we also need to redevelop the older buildings that we have. And it's not only for the technology adoption, it's also for employee well-being. So focus, supply chain optimizations, how we can make the warehouse an even more appreciated part of the supply chain. ESG and well-being, how can we make sure that the people in our warehouses are happy people and healthy people? And how can we make sure that we can deliver some kind of a handshake or good collaboration between the warehouse optimization and the people working in the warehouses? And lastly, what I said, AI, blockchain, ML, they're on the way, but there is still a lot of ground to move. So maybe that's going to be one of my trends in 2022, 2023. We'll see about that. So this was my short presentation. If you have any questions, if you want to discuss with me, if you want to reach out with me, feel free. I think we have 15 minutes after this to have that discussion. So hand it over back to you, Derek.
Thank you so much, Robert. Just a reminder for all the attendees of today's session, please, if you have any questions or comments for Robert, write them in the chat portion here, or in 4 minutes or so, go over to the sessions tab on your left-hand side and go into Robert's breakout session and continue the discussion there. While we wait to see if anyone writes any questions here, I did have a question for you, Robert. You mentioned in the beginning and a couple times throughout your presentation the growing importance of the last mile delivery segment and everything. And I know that with this past year, e-commerce has somewhat exploded with more people buying online since they can't go to the stores. How do you see a transition for that last mile in warehouse providers looking at the retail space, the on-the-ground retail space that's becoming available, and using that to help support the last mile delivery, whether it's coming to pick up for someone who schedules a time to pick up, or having delivery robots that would then take from that last mile to the final location? What do you see in terms of that?
I think that people have not solved that issue yet, and you probably also have too many little like vans running through your street every day. So no, that issue is not solved. I do think that there will be multiple solutions. So everything that you said will probably be a yes. I do think that a lot of people are kind of reluctant to actually pick up their stuff. So I think people still want to have things delivered. I'm ordering online, so I want to have it at my place. I don't want to go to a store to pick it up. That's the reason why I'm actually doing it online, right?
Yeah.
So I do believe in drone delivery in the future, but it has a lot of challenges currently. I also do believe in these little robots that will be running around. And in the Netherlands, what they're doing with electrical bikes, with the bakfietsen, that helps as well, right? So there will be a lot of different kinds of delivery methods in the future. Mm-hmm. But I cannot tell you what's going to be like the golden egg in that. I do not think that we're going to use all the shops and turn that into like delivery places.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because I see shops there's actually quite quick turnover in some cases, depending on the location of the shops, where it comes up for rent and then all of a sudden it's closed off and it's being developed into something new. One other question before we head people off into the breakout session is looking at so in the warehouse spaces, you mentioned the growth and the use of various robots and the growth in the use of making sure connectivity and everything is there. And also in solar panels on the roof. Do you see on-site electricity development becoming much more prominent in the warehouse space, where much more of the roof areas will be given over to generation?
Yes. 100%. I think every within the coming years, every roof will be utilized with solar panels, and most of the time, the electricity that will be generated on the roof will be utilized in the warehouse itself. I totally believe in that. There is still a challenge with storage of energy. The business case is not extremely good currently still with like electricity storage. But when that business case will be improving a little bit, then I also believe that it will be all the electricity will be stored and utilized by the warehouse itself instead of giving it back to your utility company.
Nice. Okay. Great. Well, thank you, Robbert, for your time today doing your keynote presentation.